This video is brought to you by my generous backers over on Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel and get cool perks like access to the Discord, seeing the videos a week before anyone else, or an entire video dedication, then feel free to check out my Patreon. The link's in the description below. This video is dedicated to Mike82. Mike, thank you for your continued support. Lurrus of the Dream Den versus Golos Tireless Pilgrim. Mesmeric Orb makes me want to keep that. Kaya's Ghost Form onto our commander should help us keep it in play as well, so we'll go for that one. And a turn 1 Soul Ring from our opponent, so already accelerating ahead of us. Golos always seems to have the fast mana on turn 1, I've noticed. A Golgari Rock Farm now from our opponent, so apparently the Soul Ring isn't going to matter. I can't remember the land they played actually. Was that a tap land? Oh no, it can't have been because they got Soul Ring off of it. Alright, let's go for the swamp. And we'll get down the orb and start filling up our graveyard. Get rid of a Hammer of Nizam from our opponent. It's an unusual card to see in Golos, although there's a million different variants of Golos. You can do pretty much anything you want with it. And already getting their commander out on turn 3. And getting into another bounce land. And we get into Leonin Relic Warder. We can't go for our commander and that. Do we go Anguished Unmaking onto the Soul Ring? I don't think they can make 5 colours next turn. Oh, they might be able to actually if they drop a white. Or drop a blue even. Yeah, we'll go for a swamp. And we'll go Anguished Unmaking onto their Soul Ring. A Stolen Strategy. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of each opponent's library. And you can cast spells from amongst the exile cards and spend any mana to do so. We mill our Ad Nauseam, our Swiftfoot Boots and a Plains. Let's get out another black and white source. And we'll go for the Arcane Signet as well as our Lurrus. And they just get rid of an Arid Mesa from us. They can probably make use of that. They are running the jewels, but they decide to go for Serra's Sanctum instead. Can they go for lands? You may cast spells, so they can't actually go for the lands with the Stolen Strategy. But they do get into Garruk Cursed Huntsman and immediately throw out a couple of wolves. They will swing in with their Golos. We'll go up to 6 points of commander damage. Now then, we've got a Wishclaw Talisman. We've got Leonin Relic Warder as well. We drop a land, definitely. Okay, we'll go for the Wishclaw Talisman first. Just setting up at this point, and then we give the Wishclaw Talisman to our opponent, don't we? 1 and tap only during your turn. Shuffle your library, and opponent gains control of it. And then we'll get down Altar of Dementia as well. I think I might set up Gravebreaker Lamia to get back a Sun Titan or something like that. And we'll go for Kaya's Ghost Form onto our commander as well. Yeah, and I don't want to give my opponent the Wishclaw just yet. We do have means of sacrificing artifacts in the deck, so I want to activate that when we can actually sacrifice this, so that they don't gain control of it and get a tutor themselves. Now it is a Ransack the Lab from our opponent. I highly doubt they want to cast that. It's just some self-mill. Alright, a Maze of Ith, more wolf tokens, Primeval Bounty as well. I was thinking of going in for the Black Blade. Yeah, Black Blade with the Rogue's Passage sounds good. Well, we're getting to another land, so I think that's enough for this thing. And reanimating Sun Titan, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then reanimate Sun Titan. Yes, we can do that. So we throw Sun Titan in the bin, then we go for Animate Dead onto the Sun Titan. And I'm thinking we'll just wasteland them on their red mana at the moment, because it's pretty much all we can do at this point. Our opponent's got a hell of a start on us. They got rid of an Ancient Tomb, so that's a couple of lands and some self-mill so far. They're not having the best of luck with the Stolen Strategy. Karuga the Macro Sage. They get themselves into a token. They're going to draw 1, 2, 3, and 4 cards from Karuga. And then what's the limit break on this? That is 6. Yeah, so we don't want any wolves to die really, do we? They get themselves into a tri-land, by the way, so yeah, still missing their red and blue mana. Now they are destroying a creature to draw a card. And how many loyalty counters? They just get a loyalty counter, so they go down by... yeah, they go down by 3 to go up 1. So they're on 3 loyalty now. Might actually block one of the wolves in order to get some life. Yeah, let's just block one of them and Garrett can go up to 4. Alright, a Seal of Cleansing over there. We've got Reanimation as well. Bloodghast, if we can make a land. Sword of the Meek is one of our combo pieces. Okay, so I think we're going Journey to Nowhere from the bin. Well, we'll cast the Seal of Cleansing first anyway. Let's go for a tutor with the Wish Claw as well, because we can blow it up with the Seal of Cleansing. And we want the Grinding Station. Then our opponent gains control of that. Let's blow it up so that they don't get a tutor. Then we'll go in for the Grinding Station. Now then, we want the Wish Claw, and we want... where is it? We want Sword of the Meek as well. So let's just cast the Wish Claw. And then that sets us up nicely for next turn. Oh, actually, we can go for a tutor now, can't we? We might as well do that. So we'll go for an activation on that. I'm going to hold priority for it and hope that it works. Yes, it does. So then we point the Grinding Station at our opponent, sacrifice it in response, and mill them. And then we can get into our last piece that we need. Sly Requisitioner. And that's one of our last combo pieces, so when one of these artifacts dies, it will make a servo, which will bring back Sword of the Meek, and we can sacrifice it to the Grinding Station and do that infinitely. We're not going to bother swinging in. We can grab something back with Sun Titan next turn if we're desperate. Alright, they get our Lightning Greaves from us. Academy Rector, they can kill that off with Garrick if they want to. Then going in for a Lightning Greaves, which allows them to put a bunch of plus counters on something. They put it on the Karuga. Then the Greaves goes onto their commander. And they are tapped out here, so I'm feeling pretty good about us being able to do whatever we want next turn, pretty much. We'll gain some life here and just block as much damage as we can. So we'll take a hit for 4 and make sure that our Karuga actually hits the bin so that Kaya's ghost form will bring it back. There we go, so it's going to the graveyard when it dies to the beast. We will gain 4, 5, 6 and 7 life, go down by 4. Kaya's ghost form brings it straight back. I don't think we need it, but we might want to cast something from the bin. Okay, and like I said, with our opponent tapped out, I'm feeling pretty good about just going for it and not getting any protection onto our Sly Requisitioner. Bloodghast triggers from the bin, so we will bring that out. So in for Sly Requisitioner, and it doesn't really matter what artifact we sacrifice, does it? We can just get rid of that Altar of Dementia. Haven't used it this game. So we mill our opponent, we sacrifice the Altar of Dementia. That will trigger the Sly Requisitioner, bringing back a servo, which will trigger the Sword of the Meek. So we say always yes and always yield to the Grinding Station. Sword of the Meek comes out and it attaches itself to the servo. And we save the targets on the Grinding Station because we're always going to be targeting our opponent. And now we go Grinding Station, get rid of the Sword of the Meek, everything triggers. We get another servo, the Sword of the Meek comes back, it untaps the Grinding Station, and we just do this forever until we mill our opponent out. And we also have to hope that our opponent doesn't have any Eldrazi in the deck. We are milling ourselves one, by the way, with the Mesmeric Orb every time. When it's put into the graveyard from the top of your library, shuffle your graveyard into your library. Who runs that card? Ugh. Alright, well, we need another means of winning the game then. Shuffle your graveyard into your library. Yeah, that's rough. Alright. Well, we can make infinite servos at least and try and go wide on our opponent. Let's see what they do next turn. What can we grab here? Let's just go after the Wish Claw again. I'm not sure what we want to get into. Maybe we can go for the blade. Yeah, maybe we can go for the blade, so let's put that into our hand now. And we'll sacrifice the Wish Claw in response. So we want the Black Blade reforged, and we also want... where is it? The Rogue's Passage. It's actually more difficult to get Rogue's Passage out of the graveyard, so I'm going to take that now instead. And then if we mill into the Hero of Bladehold, then so be it. Or the Black Blade, I should say. Not going to swing into our opponent, we can just chump block with a bunch of servos. I don't think they're going to get us on combat next turn. They get back into that Gaia's Blessing again off of the Mesmeric Orb. So no mill for us in this game. And they get our High Market. That could just as easily have been our Rogue's Passage, so I'm glad we've got that in our hand now, although it could have been the Black Blade as well. Krav the Redeemed is a means of getting a limit break off with the Garrick Cursed Huntsman. Yeah, I mean, we've got the win here, really. As long as we can make enough servos. Actually, we've only got 38 cards in the deck, so I don't know if we would have enough. Because if they get their commander, if they get their Planeswalker limit break off here, then they have the emblem, which does give trample, so we can't chump with servos anymore. Lightning Greaves going over to Krav now, and it's noteworthy that they've got their blue and red mana there, both on one land though, so they still can't activate their Golos. And I'm surprised that they're not going to sacrifice some creatures with Krav. They could get rid of their Academy Rector here and get rid of some of the wolves. They are doing. They don't go after their Academy Rector though, but they may well just go straight in for the Garrick Cursed Huntsman limit break. I think that's 6, isn't it? Yeah, that's 6. Oh, and then untap X lands. Well, they don't have Gaia's Cradle at least. It is in the deck though, because we saw it previously. Untapping a bounce land, and they mill themselves. And this time they go after the Academy Rector and put another plus counter, or loyalty counter on Garrick, so it will survive if they go after the emblem. They went for a Bear Umbra, which triggers on attack, so it doesn't matter if their Golos survives or not. And there we go, +3/+3 and trample to all of their stuff. Can I be bothered jumping through all the hoops to to get the servos out to block with? Yeah, we're actually being hurt by our own Mesmeric Orb here. It's only like my first or second time playing the deck, so maybe could have gone with the Sun Titan. Maybe could have gone in for some kind of artifact removal onto our own Mesmeric Orb, now that we no longer have any desire for it. Because if it wasn't for the Mesmeric Orb, we could make infinite servo tokens. And that would mean, actually, what we could do next turn, we could just blow it up next turn and make the infinite tokens then, couldn't we? Yeah, so if it wasn't for the fact that Modo, it was really difficult to jump through all these hoops. If you're just playing paper and you want to make a deck like this, I think we've got the win here. And I think on something like Magic the Gathering Online, like I said, it's just too difficult to jump through all the hoops. But we can make 27 more servos here before we draw into an empty library. So we just make enough servos to block and not die. And I think we might be able to survive, and then it's a case of if we can survive next turn is the question. I don't think we can. But what we could do is block with our Lurrus and maybe gain a bunch of life that way. Oh, actually, what am I thinking? It's taken me this long to figure out. Jeez. We could just sack the Mesmeric Orb, couldn't we? Oh, what a dope. Alright, well, we've got cards in the library left at least. Alright, so why don't we sack the Mesmeric Orb itself so that we stop milling ourselves and we can actually do this infinitely. Yeah, can you tell I've never played this deck or combo before? There we go, so we can actually do it infinitely now. And we're not going to mill ourselves anymore, so Grinding Station continuing to make us a bunch of servos. And we're going to get rid of all of their creatures swinging in, apart from the flyer. We need to have a good think about what we're going to do about that thing next turn. And as I work it out, we need 34 powers worth of servos, which puts us on exactly enough right now. So we'll let our opponent shuffle his library into the graveyard, or shuffle his graveyard into the library, sorry, and then we'll block with all these servos and get rid of a bunch of our opponent's stuff. And what I'll probably do is just demonstrate that I think we've already demonstrated that we've got infinite servos, but yeah, I'll start making them at the end of the turn and then message my opponent saying, you know, we just swing in for infinite damage next turn, assuming that our opponent doesn't have anything else for us. Alright, so we've got everything blocked there. What is this? Untap an attacking creature and prevent the combat damage. Alright, so they could save one of their creatures here if they want to with the Maze of Ith. Alright, not going to message my opponent yet until the end of the turn because I don't want them to be able to tutor for an answer. They might not know what the answer is that they require thus far. Alright, a bunch of stuff goes down there. They're Golos. Oh, of course, Golos survives thanks to the Bear Umbra, so we managed to get rid of that. We go down to 6 from taking a big hit for 10. And I don't think they can activate their Golos still because, yeah, they've got, like I said, they've got blue and red on one land. Okay, Peer Imaginative Rascal gets them into another blocker, which just means we need to make another servo token, basically. They do have Toothy in the deck, so Peer and Toothy can come into play if our opponent wishes it. Sundial of the Infinite. End the turn. Activate this ability only during your turn. Yeah, it doesn't have split second or anything, so we can still respond to that. And when it enters, it will untap our grinding station, so we'll just make use of that. So now at the end of the turn, I'll message my opponent. I'd rather not jump through the hoops of getting into 46 tokens. Yeah, so if they don't have anything, then I'll happily concede and just call as the victor. Anyway, we'll get on with making some servos just in case they do want us to play it out. Can't see myself going for this combo in this deck all that often because it is a real grind. Yeah, our opponent's thinking that we're trying to mill them out still. Obviously Gaia's Cradle is still in the deck. Might be worth including some instant speed. Remove a card from a target player's graveyard for things like that if we are desperate to mill someone out. But yeah, I'm just trying to tell my opponent that we've got infinite servos for attacking in. Yeah, our opponent is ending the turn there. See, that's exactly why I didn't want to talk to them about that until yeah, they'd work things out. Yeah, there we go. So we actually, in my attempt to speed things along and either have them concede or whatever, we've actually told them to end the turn effectively there, so I should have just shut my mouth and made all the servos and we could have gotten a win off there because they didn't realise that we have infinite servos for infinite damage next turn. Anyway, that just ends the turn and empties the stack. Oh, but they empty the stack with the Gaia's Blessing on the stack as well, didn't they? Let's see here. Yeah, Gaia's Blessing is still in the graveyard because they ended the turn with that still on the stack, which means they don't shuffle their graveyard. So we go Rogue's Passage here. What else can we do? Wow, after all that, we don't have the blade in the bin, do we? Alright, well, it doesn't matter. We'll just continue to kill off our opponent. Okay, so we get Sword of the Meat back. It was stuck in the graveyard because our opponent ended the turn with that on the stack. Well, we just go for it again now and mill our opponent out. Our Mesmeric Orb is gone, as you all were witness to before. It took me way too long to figure that out. It's just a case of hoping that they still don't have an Eldrazi in the deck or something like that. I don't imagine they've got any shuffle effects other than Gaia's Blessing. Alright, so there we go, getting to the final hurdle now. A massive shout out to my opponent for playing this out. They go down to 0 cards in the library, so we do manage to mill them out, even with a Gaia's Blessing in play. So mistakes were made by both parties there. I'm just going to end the turn. If they find some way to win after all this, then they deserve it. Yeah, mistakes made there. They went for ending the turn whilst the Gaia's Blessing was on the stack and removed it from said stack. And that means that they don't shuffle their graveyard back into the library. They draw from an empty deck. We'll say good game to our opponent. We got a preemptive GG, so that's always a good feeling when someone goes for the preemptive GG and then you manage to win. But I'm not trying to cast shade on my opponent or anything. This player I've played many a time on Magic Online, and they seem like a very decent individual, and like I say, I've played them lots of times and they always come up with cool creative decks, and they were very, very patient for us today, so big thank you to them. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. I'm not sure how often I'm going to play this deck, or at least I might replace this combo. You can see on the clock what a huge difference there's been, and it just turned into a huge solitaire game of me just doing that combo over and over again. If you want to play it in paper, then obviously that will be much faster. You can just tell your opponents that you do it a million times, get a million servos, and yeah, that'll be that. Anyway, hopefully you all enjoyed it. Let me know if you did in the comments section, and give it a thumbs up if you did as well. Be sure to hit subscribe to keep up to date with all the latest content, and I will see you all in the next one, I hope. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.